young adults. She was born on 28th February 1936 in Kempsey, New South Wales, Australia, and now resides in Melbourne. She won several awards for her children's books. Some were made into television series. So she seems to be quite popular in Australia, and maybe that's why her poem has been taken up by the CBSE board. Klein's novel Came Back to Show You I Could Fly won a Human Rights Award for Literature in 1989. Also, this is one of her main creations, a novel that won her a Human Rights Award for Literature, and that was in 1989. It was filmed uh, Say a Little Prayer as Say a Little Prayer in 1993. So it was made into a movie. Since 2005, she has lived in a nursing home. Well, since she was born in 36, she must be quite old, in her 80s now, and so she lives in a nursing home for old people. And of course, when I found out more about her, I found out that she's now unable to do any writing work, and so she lives in her old age home in Australia, in Melbourne. Here are some words for pronunciation. Hunch. Hunch. When you hunch, you bend. That's a hunch. If you have heard of the word hunchback, someone who is bent. Slouching. Slouching. Slouching means sitting in a lazy way, not sitting straight, but you're slouching in your chair in a very lazy way. Languid. Languid is relaxed. Languid. Languid means relaxed. So, languid waters, or you can say calm and tranquil waters. So, that's another word for relaxed. Emerald. You know, emerald is a precious stone and it is green in color. So, here it means green in color. Emerald. Inhabitant. You know this word? Inhabitant. Inhabitant is a resident. Drifting. Drifting means carried slowly by the water. When you drift, it means to be carried very slowly away. Blissfully. Blissfully. Blissfully means happily. You are in a bliss. You are in a state of happiness. Tranquil. Tranquil is the same as languid. Calm, quiet. Tranquil. Sulking. Sulking. Sulking means to be in a bad mood. When your parents scold you, or when your friend has not done what you want him to do, you sulk. Means you are in a bad mood and you show it pointedly that you are sulking. Moody. Someone who is moody is unstable in his emotions and his reactions. So, you are moody, you are unstable. One moment you are happy, the other moment you are sad. Or if someone is not doing what you want them to do, you become moody, you sulk. The next word is nagged. To nag means to harass someone. Harassing someone means to constantly point out or find fault with someone. So that is nagging. So I hope you have learned these words. I hope you have learned the proper pronunciation of these words. Now let me introduce the poem to you. Robin Klein has expressed the views of a little girl, Amanda, who is constantly pointed out by her mother for making mistakes. Mistakes which she considers that they are not part of the code of conduct laid out by the society in which we live. So the mother is constantly pointing out to the mistakes of her daughter, Amanda, and she is constantly telling her what to do and what not to do. So and she thinks that there is a certain code of conduct that a person has to follow or a girl needs to behave in so that the society accepts her. So there are little manners and mannerisms that are required for a person to live in a society, so that needs proper behavior. Here's the poem, Amanda. Don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. There is a languid emerald sea where the sole inhabitant is me, a mermaid drifting blissfully. Did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. I'm an orphan roaming the street. I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. The silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. Don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda? I'm Rapunzel, I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil and rare. I certainly never let down my bright hair. Stop sulking at once, Amanda. You're always so moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that I nagged you, Amanda. Now, you just read the poem with me. I'm now going to explain it stanza wise to you. Now, if you have noticed, in this, look at this stanza, some part, the latter part of the stanza is in parenthesis. The parenthesis are, that's the brackets part that you see. The first part is what the mother is speaking. The mother is saying that. And the second part that's in the parenthesis is they are the thoughts of Amanda, what Amanda is thinking aside. While her mother is speaking, Amanda's mind is elsewhere. So let us go stanza wise. Now the first was, don't bite your nails, Amanda. Don't hunch your shoulders, Amanda. Stop that slouching and sit up straight, Amanda. So the poet describes Amanda, a little girl who is always pointed out by her mother for her mistakes and how she imagines her life to be. The poet says that the mother is scolding Amanda for biting her nails, which is a bad habit. Next, she asks her to sit straight without bending her shoulders. Amanda, who has the habit of bending her shoulders and sitting lazily, is being pointed out because her mother wants her to sit in the right posture. That's why she's saying, don't hunch your shoulders, don't slouch, sit up straight. So her mother is telling her again and again, and it seems that she bites her nails too. That is the first part of the first stanza. Now the second part of stanza, I've named it stanza 1 B explanation. Now this is the part that Amanda is thinking. At this point of time, when Amanda is being scolded by her mother, she imagines herself to be in a deep green sea. You see, that's why she's saying there is a languid emerald sea. Emerald is the green color of the water. It's as green as the precious stone, emerald. So that's why it says emerald sea. So at this point when she's scolded, she's imagining herself in the deep green sea. She says that she wants to be the only resident of this beautiful green sea. She says the sole inhabitant. Sole means the only one, the only inhabitant. So she wants to be the only resident of this beautiful green sea. She imagines herself to be a mermaid who is alone there and leads a very peaceful life. So she says, drifting blissfully. She is happy there. She says that she wants to be carried away by the current of water and enjoy the peaceful environment there. She wants to enjoy there. She wants to have some peace So away from what her mother is telling her to do all the time, and she's imagining herself in the green sea, drifting in the waters like a little beautiful mermaid, and she wants to be the only person there, to be the only person there. Now the literary devices in this stanza are quite a number here, as you can see. You've done them in other poems also, so I'll go very quickly here. Anaphora, the first one is anaphora. You know anaphora, it's the repeated use of a word at start of two or more lines. You see, at the start, don't bite your nails, don't hunch your shoulders. So she's saying don't so many times. So this is anaphora. Now assonance also, use of vowel, that is sound of o, don't, your, shoulders. So the sound of o, there's quite a repeated sound of o. So it is the use of the vowel o. So that is assonance. Then rhyme, of course there is rhyme scheme here. A, B, A, C, C, C. Amanda, straight, Amanda, see, me, blissfully. So the sound of this is the rhyme scheme A, B, A, C, C, C. Now metaphor, you know metaphor, use of word emerald sea for green color of sea being similar to the color of emerald. So it is the comparison is that without using uh, the comparative words, like the words of comparison like or as, the poet represents the color green with the word emerald. So the word emerald represents the green color. So that is metaphor. Repetition, use of word Amanda. So this is repetition, Amanda. So constantly her mother is calling out a name. Imagery. Now imagery, the poet has painted a beautiful picture of the sea, the green sea, and the mermaid is drifting blissfully in the sea, the calm waters of the sea. So this is the beautiful imagery that you can imagine the beautiful scenery in your mind's eye. Now alliteration, again, alliteration, that's very common, you've understood it. Stop that slouching and sit up straight. So the use of S sound is being repeated at the start of closely placed words. So stop that slouching and sit up straight. So this is S, repetition of S. Now allusion, mermaid is a well-known imaginary creature, so there is a comparison there, allusion to some well-known imaginary creature, that is the mermaid. So that's an allusion. Let's go to the next stanza. Did you finish your homework, Amanda? Did you tidy your room, Amanda? I thought I told you to clean your shoes, Amanda. So here the poet says that Amanda's mother is inquiring about whether or not she has done her homework. Then she asks her whether she has cleaned her room. Moreover, she is also reminded to clean her shoes. So here we can see that the mother is constantly asking her questions regarding her homework being done or her room and shoes cleaned up. So she is constantly asking her, have you done your homework? Have you tidied your room? Have you cleaned your shoes? Have you cleaned your room? All these things. So this is the what the mother is saying to her. Now again in the parenthesis, Amanda's mind is elsewhere, and she is thinking this to herself. I am an orphan roaming the street. I pattern soft dust with my hushed bare feet. The silence is golden, the freedom is sweet. So while Amanda is listening to her mother's instructions, she imagines herself to be an orphan who is roaming in the streets. This means that she imagines if she had no parents, she would have walked freely in the streets. She would have drawn designs on the soft dust with her uncovered feet very quietly. So we can see that she is the opposite of her mother. Her mother wants her to keep everything neat and clean, but Amanda wants to play in the dust bare feet. So she wants to be bare feet, she wants to play in the dust, she wants to rough it out, whereas her mother is telling her to clean up, to be clean, to clean up her room. And here she is imagining that she would really prefer to be an orphan. Otherwise, she would be alone. If, instead of being with her mother, who's constantly nagging, she wants to be alone. Moreover, she is so fed up with these constant instructions from her mother that she says silence is golden, which means that silence is very crucial and precious to her. The constant sound of her mother, nagging her mother's sound falling on her ears, that sound is very harsh to her. So she calls silence is golden. She wants some peace and quiet, so she wants to be alone on the street. She would prefer to be an orphan than to give up her freedom. So she says that freedom is sweet. This means she never feels free when she is with her mother. She is so bound. She has so many do's and don'ts with her mother. Now, literary devices, anaphora, that is the repeated use of a word at start of two or more lines. That is, did you finish? Did you tidy? Did you? So, did you, she's saying again and again. So, that's anaphora. Then rhyme scheme is AADA, EEE. Amanda, shoes, Amanda, street, feet, sweet. So, this is EEE. This is a rhyme scheme. Assonance, the use of vowel sound O again. Thought, told, you, your, shoes. So the sound of O many times. Assonance. Repetition, of course, again the use of word Amanda again and again. Metaphor. Now two examples of metaphor. Silence is golden, means silence is said to be glorious like golden color. As glorious, the gold color is glorious and rich. So she prefers. So silence is golden. So richness and glorious, the glorious attribute is golden here. That is the metaphor. Then freedom is sweet. Freedom is said to be sweet in taste. So actually you cannot taste freedom, but it is so good that that freedom is called as sweet. Now the next stanza, third. Don't eat that chocolate, Amanda. Remember your acne, Amanda. Will you please look at me when I'm speaking to you, Amanda? So her mother is saying again, Amanda. Next, Amanda's mother is forbidding her from eating chocolates. She reminds her of pimples that Amanda gets due to eating chocolates. So when you eat lots of chocolates, you have acne or pimples on your face. She then scolds her for not paying attention. She's saying, you look at me, you're not paying attention. So she is scolding Amanda for that. Now again Amanda's mind is elsewhere. You see in the parenthesis, Amanda is thinking, I am Rapunzel. I have not a care. Life in a tower is tranquil and rare. I'll certainly never let down my bright hair. So she's imagining at this moment, Amanda imagines herself to be Rapunzel. Have you heard of Rapunzel? Yes, it's in a fairy tale. Rapunzel was a character who was captured in a tower by a witch. The witch used to climb the tower with the help of Rapunzel's long hair that she let down through the window. So that witch had captured her and put her up in a tower, in a very tall tower, and Rapunzel had very long hair. And she used to say, Rapunzel, Rapunzel, let your hair down. So Rapunzel would let her hair down through the window, and so Rapunzel went, and so the witch would go climb up her long hair as if she was climbing a rope. And so there were no doors and nothing in that tower. So that was the only way to go up. So now Amanda wants to be Rapunzel because she feels that life in a tower will be free and peaceful. She is so fed up that she wants to go and live in that tower where no one can come up to her. She also confirms to herself that she will never let her hair down to anyone so that nobody may come to her in the tower. So she is thinking that if she is up there in the tower, she will never let her hair down like Rapunzel, who used to let her hair down like a rope to pull up that old witch. And if you remember in the story, there was a prince also who had seen the witch go up, and he rescued Rapunzel from there. You can watch a movie also. The name of the movie is Tangled, where Rapunzel's hair has magic powers. So it's a beautiful story. I'm sure you must have heard of it. And so Amanda imagines herself to be Rapunzel. When nobody can come and disturb her, at least she will have some peace and quiet in that tower. So she has all these imaginations. She wants to run away. She is so fed up with the nagging of her mother. She wants to run away and be elsewhere. So she has created a world of her own. In the first one, she wanted to be alone. She wanted to be in the tranquil water. She was the mermaid. In this, and then, and she wants to be Rapunzel. The second one, she wanted to be an orphan. And now, so first was the mermaid. Second was she was an orphan, and the third one is that she is Rapunzel. She has all these characters that she wants to be. Literary devices, allusion. Use of famous fairy tale character Rapunzel. Again, just like the mermaid, the famous fairy tale character has been taken here. Rhyme scheme is AAFA GGG. Amanda, you, Amanda, care, rare, hair. So whatever she's thinking has the same rhyme scheme if you pay attention to the rhyme scheme there. Assonance, the use of vowel sound E and O. Will you please look at me when I am speaking to you? So E, E, E. That's assonance. Consonance, the use of sound R. I am Rapunzel, I don't care, and bright hair. So the use of R is consonance. Then the repetition of word again, as before, Amanda. That's what our mother is saying all the time. Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. We come to the fourth stanza. Stop that sulking at once, Amanda. You're always so moody, Amanda. Anyone would think that I nagged at you, Amanda. Now, Amanda's mother now warns her for behaving in a very odd manner. She asks her to stop sulking or expressing her displeasure. Moreover, she blames her for having such an unstable mood all the time. She's saying, you're always moody. She also scolds her by saying that her behavior will one day make people think that Amanda was constantly being harassed by her mother. Now her mother is saying, when people look at you, they will think that I am a very nagging mother. You are behaving in such an unstable manner. You're so moody, and then why are you sulking? That is a very odd behavior. And so it seems that her mother does not really understand. She does not really stop to think what her daughter really wants. So here we can say that though Amanda is always pointed out by her mother on every small thing, she is not allowed to express herself. If she reacts by sulking or showing any displeasure, her mother takes it against her sense of pride and scolds her. She says others would think that Amanda's mother is very dominating and constantly nagging her. As in other stanzas, Amanda doesn't drift into her imaginary world now. So she doesn't drift away into her imaginary world now. In this stanza, if you see in this stanza, there is no second part of the stanza because this is the last stanza, and Amanda does not drift away. Maybe now she is sulking. Until now she was not listening. Until now she was drifting away into her imaginary life, and now she is sulking, and her mother is scolding her for sulking. Literary devices in this last stanza: alliteration, stop that sulking, so the sound of S, it's a repeated sound. Then repetition, use of word Amanda again and again, and the rhyme scheme is AAHA, Amanda, you, Amanda. So quite some repetition here. I'm sure you're never going to forget this name now, Amanda, and whenever you come across this name, you're going to really sulk. Well, that was a joke, so don't sulk, okay? Well, I'm sure you have enjoyed the poem just like I did. I think you understand the character of Amanda too, how what she is facing, and that her mother is constantly nagging her, and I wonder if you identify with her, but I'm sure that you have a way of getting out, and I'm sure times have changed and parents are more understanding now. Well, if under the lockdown, if sometimes parents nag you, well, children, it is for your good. Sometimes some children don't do anything without being nagged. So, don't think that it is nagging. Just think that your parents want what is good for you at the moment, because they want what is good for you. So that's why they are asking you to do things. Do those things for yourself, not for anybody else, and don't sulk like Amanda. Well, I think the parents should also not be like Amanda's mother. Parents should also try and understand what the child really wants and lighten up a little bit, and make life easy for children. Well, children, I'm on your side, and I hope that you enjoy learning as I enjoy doing all these lessons with you. God bless. I'll give you some questions and answers, and you can take down from the Word document that I send you. God bless, children. Enjoy learning.